Even before the devastating fires in Los Angeles, the California insurance market was facing some real tough financial times, with many insurance companies announcing they were raising rates or even dropping coverage altogether here in the state of California. Assemblymember Carl DeMaio says California faces a massive insurance crisis and is calling for immediate reforms to stabilize the market. He joins us now before heading up to work in Sacramento. Mr. DeMaio, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
All right. As I recall, people like State Farm were already bailing before these fires, and it was already a mess, very difficult to get insurance. Now, it's going to even be more difficult.
The fires in LA were the final nail in the coffin of California's insurance market. And don't for a moment believe the politicians or the media when they say that the insurance crisis was caused by climate change. That's not true at all. This crisis is man-made. It has been inflicted by bad policies in Sacramento that are now coming home to roost. And so I come here with a warning, but I also come with a call to action. The warning is, if you're a homeowner, your insurance is going to go up dramatically, and if you're lucky to keep insurance, you should be happy. Most people are going to see their insurance canceled, and they're going to be put in something called the government fair plan, which is anything but fair. It's very expensive, it doesn't cover much, and it will be an absolute nightmare for property owners. This is a crisis that might actually be, signal something as bad as the big housing market collapse in 2008, 2009. That's how serious we have to take the insurance crisis.
And yet I think people are whistling past the graveyard if they are not immediately affected by what happened in the Palisades, and that they're kind of whistling past thinking, oh, this is not going to affect me, but it might.
Well, a lot of the constituents in my district, which is the rural areas of North County and East County, San Diego, have already seen this coming for the last 2 years. They've had their insurance dropped or tripled. And people, in the 1970s, homeowners were priced out of their homes because of the wild increases in property taxes. That's how we got Prop 13 in 1978. Now people are being priced out of their home because of the increase in their insurance premium. It's going from $2,500 on average per home per year to $10,000 to $12,000. No one can afford that, particularly people who are retired and on fixed income.
So, but it is capitalism. So how do you artificially repair it without doing more damage than you set out to do?
It's only capitalism if government does its job. Government has failed to do its job. So the first thing that we need to do, and I have a 3-point insurance reform plan. The first thing we need to do is we have to reduce risk. And the only way to reduce risk from catastrophic wildfires, it's not climate change. We're not seeing the number of fires increase in this country or in California. We are seeing the severity of fires increase because we are not able to contain them because we don't have defensive space. We have to do better at brush management, which means we have to get rid of the regulations, the CARB regulations, the CEQA regulations, fish and wildlife regulations. Let people clear the defensive space, number one, and force government to do its job on its lands. Remember, a lot of these canyons are government owned. They're not private parcels. And so when government doesn't clear its rising fuel loads, it's the bad neighbor. And government needs to do its job. So number one, fuel reduction. Number two, we have to slash the regulations on construction, because where we're seeing insurance models wildly off is not on the number of losses that they have filed against them, but the dollar value. So when people try to repair their home right now, repair costs are up 80% in just the last 4 years. It's called Biden inflation. We've got to slash those costs in California. And then finally, the insurance market across the country is in trouble, and that's going to call for reinsurance programs at the federal level. The good news, I guess you can call it good news, is that California is not the only state having a problem with reinsurance. Florida is, Texas is, and so we now have those congressional delegation members, Democrats and Republicans, with an interest in stabilizing the market. It's a 3-point plan. You should not see rates increased on homeowners because they didn't cause the problem. We need to provide them with relief.
Explain to me the rationale of the governor and our mayor, who are always saying climate change is to blame, and we need to spend more money.
Because it's the way they blame something that they say you caused. They say you're the one causing climate change by driving a car.
Walk me through the rationale for what are they saying as far as how is it climate change's fault? They're just saying because it creates more fire opportunities?
When you notice that your hair is thinning,
Yes,
it's
yes.
climate change in Governor Newsom's opinion. When something bad goes on in this state, it's always climate change. These people are liars. They have a convenient boogeyman to deflect blame. No. The blame is the politicians and their wildly extreme policies here in this state. That's why, I mean, is it climate change when we pay $2.50 more for gas? No, that's government regulation and taxes. Is it climate change when we pay double for the cost of our electricity? No, that's the Green New Deal here in California. Is it climate change when there's a bunch of homeless people taking their personal effects and putting them in your backyard? No, that's a failure to enforce the law. So we have allowed politicians to shift the blame, and therefore they've been off the hook for accountability. They won't change the policies until they start feeling some political pressure.
Last question,
Yeah.
and we got 10 seconds. President Trump is in a position here to force some of these changes.
With a hot poker.
Is he not?
Yes, absolutely. That's why when the president talks about conditions on any federal funding to California, I say amen. We welcome it because we need adult supervision on Sacramento politicians. The voters have not yet woken up enough to be the adult supervision by throwing them out of office. That's why we need the leverage of the Trump administration to force some of these common sense changes.
And will they? Well, I mean, because you need the money, right? I mean,
politicians are always about getting the money. Usually they're getting it from the taxpayers, but
Right.
the taxpayers out here are completely broke.
So-
I think that what we're going to find in 2026, voters are starting to wake up. So the combination of Trump saying, no, I'm not giving you a bailout of federal funds unless you clean up your act, as well as the voters waking up, those two forces, I believe, will bring a little bit more sanity back to California.
Mr. Carl DeMaio, everybody, who's on his way to Sacramento, safe travels to you, sir.
Thank you so much.